Learn to improve conversions and generate more leads with the video podcast at marketingoptimization.tv. Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're chatting with David Schneider. How you doing, David?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for being here. David is the founder of ninjaoutreach.com. To get started, what would be your definition of optimization, and why is it beneficial?
I think optimization is any process where the goal is to increase the output for the same or less input. You're basically trying to refine a process so that you get more out of it without having to put more in. And I think hopefully the benefit of that is pretty clear. It's so that you can expend less resources but get more out of it.
Very interesting. And you're the founder of ninjaoutreach.com, a blogger outreach software, which actually just launched in January. And you bootstrapped, built this SaaS startup. Can you tell us a little bit about the company and what do you do there?
Sure. So the company is right now 3 founders and a couple of employed developers and assistants. And we started back in July of last year building this blogger outreach software because we felt like we saw like a hole in the market, you could say, for a tool that did both prospecting and outreach. A lot of tools only do one or the other. I know it doesn't sound all that exciting, but there really weren't that many tools that would do prospecting and outreach. We started building that in October. We launched the beta. January we launched commercially. We've been live for about 8 months now, and we have just over 200 customers.
Very cool. Can you tell us exactly what it does? So blogger outreach, prospecting and outreach in one CRM, target Twitter and Instagram users. So you find people who could potentially do content together or guest posting. Is that kind of how it works?
More or less. So essentially blogger outreach, you can think of it as a marketing channel. So if you're looking to generate traffic, which many of us are, you might want to connect with bloggers because bloggers already have built large audiences. So if I can find a blogger in my niche and connect with them, maybe do a guest post on their website, maybe have them review my product, maybe involve them in content that I'm writing so they'll promote it. All those types of things help me benefit from the audience that they've already gathered, and built together, whereas I might be starting from scratch as a business owner and just and just getting ready to launch. So our tool is hopefully what helps optimize that process, whereby you can find bloggers via search terms, add them into lists like a CRM, and then outreach to them through email.
Yeah, one of the key things that I tell my small business owners, that a lot of them are getting started and they're trying to generate traffic. One of the main things is try to leverage other people's audiences, try to guest post on blog posts, try to get on podcasts, try to get on YouTube channels. Are those the type of things that help drive the most traffic from other bloggers?
Definitely. And these are the types of things that we at Ninja Outreach do ourselves. So, you can think of us also as a software business, but also as proponents of blogger outreach and influencer marketing. And we use these tactics ourselves to grow our own audience and have done so, relatively successfully. And it's doing things like appearing on podcasts like I'm doing now. I've written over 70 guest posts. We've had a couple dozen product reviews. All those types of things have helped, us generate traffic and signups and grow our business.
Yeah. So a lot of people who listen to the show are either starting their own SaaS company or maybe their own agency. Can you tell us about how you figured out the right product market fit and got to where you are within, launching the SaaS company?
Sure. And, product market fit is one of those terms that, can I say we're definitely there yet? I'm not really sure, but I think we're on our way towards that. And, but it's a journey, right? And the thing about us was that we were going into an existing market where there are already competitors, which is not always the case for everybody, but is often the case. Majority of markets have competitors. So for us, what we're looking to do firstly is, understand what's our MVP going to be like, what's our minimum viable product. And that's typically I'm looking at the different products that are out there, understanding the overlap of the features that they have and thinking that those are basically core functionality that we should be building into our SaaS. If all the 5 major competitors have some sort of prospecting filter, we probably need to have that as well. It's considered like core functionality. It's where they differ that separates the tools, but what may be seen as maybe not necessary for an MVP. So we spent a few months basically building out that MVP based on the functionality that we thought we needed. And then from there on out, it goes into customer development. And this is all lean startup stuff, which I'm sure a lot of your audience is sort of familiar with. And customer development is where you speak with the people who are using the tool and try to understand what features do they want extra, and how do they want those features to be designed. So we would, luckily, there's a generally consistent message that we get from customers in terms of what features do people want. People are looking for better email integration and automatic follow-up and things like that. And you start to kind of prioritize them based on the demand from the customer and then, the difficulty from the development. And that's how you start to kind of build the product. And we've been doing that for months now. And finally, we're getting to a place where maybe it certainly doesn't have every feature that it needs, but you feel like it hits a milestone where it's starting to kind of have enough features to deliver the value and getting to that point of product market fit. But I don't know if we're quite there yet.
Yeah, as people are building their own SaaS companies, getting that feedback, sometimes you're potentially building a product that you didn't know how it was growing. Like you didn't know that the features that what people were requesting, what people were going to want at the beginning. So how did you take into that account? It's like a couple of people came in from the minimal viable product, and then you surveyed them. Is there any specific examples of how you built that traction?
How we built the traction in terms of getting more signups or more prioritizing development?
Prioritizing development, probably.
Sure. So, well, at least what we did when we first launched our beta in October, our goal was to meet personally with everybody that we could, via like a Skype interview, and actually see them use the tool, so that because it's not just about necessarily what the customer says they want, but inferring what they're really trying to do, and then understanding, is what they're saying really the best way to achieve that, or is there actually like another way to achieve that? And often there is. Which is why that we wanted to meet with every customer that we could, get them on the phone, understand what was their end goal, what features that they wanted, and then actually watch them use the software. And then, there's sort of layers of complexity here, because then there's also different profiles of customers, and, enterprise customers might want more than people who are on our lowest plan, our blogger plan, and we have to decide kind of who we're going to try to appeal to, who we're trying to attract, things like that. But like I said, it does in the beginning. It's relatively clear, I think, what needs to be done, because there's just so many obvious gaps in the software when you first launch. But those are the ones that you tend to work on first. It's only now, after about a year or so, that we've gotten to the point where we've covered a lot of the basics, not all the basics, but a lot of them. And we have kind of choices between, which feature we want to go to. And these are the ones that are inevitably going to shape the tool in the long run, because we're going to be known as a tool that does X instead of Y. And X might be something that nobody else does, and Y would have been as well. So it's definitely, you reach a bit of a crossroads. And how do you choose between X and Y? It's just a matter of preference sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting when you start to talk to the people who are using the product and understand how they use it in their own way. It helps you build that whole product roadmap. Now, what about the acquisition side? It's probably a little bit harder unknown, trying to get some of those people on the phone or on Skype. It can be difficult to acquire those people, to actually get them to talk to you. Maybe in the tech world, people are kind of used to it, but in the small business world, it's really hard to get people on the phone. A lot harder than it is in SaaS, for sure. Is there any challenges that you guys had to get that feedback?
Definitely a lot of challenges, because, like you said, people are all for signing up for a beta and using a product for free. The minute you want to meet with them on the phone and it starts to take their time, all of a sudden they're really not that interested. And it does become a bit of a numbers game, where if you can get 100 people to try the software, maybe 20 of them, they'll meet with you on the phone, and you can infer what the other 80% are thinking by just talking to those 20. So what things that you could do, for example, was you could make sort of these things somewhat mandatory from the beta, saying like it's mandatory to meet with us on the phone if you're going to join the beta. I know some people sometimes charge for a beta, not a lot, but just a little bit, to kind of make sure the customer is committed and serious. So there are sort of different, sort of requirements that you can put in the beta to get that initial feedback. Outside of that, I think there's just about being it's a mix of being aggressive and just kind of having the option out there a lot of times. So we have a call scheduler now that allows people to book calls with us. This is good for people who are in the trial, paying customers. We're out of beta now, but we still like to try to meet with customers, understand how they're using the tool and things like that. And the way that we are able to get people to sign up to talk with us is just by putting that call scheduler everywhere. So my first email in the welcome series is has a call to action of, hey, let's schedule a chat. Just this is the one thing you should do with this email: schedule a call with me. We also put it on the login screen of the application, so when you actually log into the application, there's a call scheduler right there as well. So all these different ways where it makes it very easy for somebody when they're ready to schedule a call, helps book it up, and when we get calls every week for that.
And how are you tracking all this feedback? Are you just putting it all into Excel, or does your system have a CRM to include all that stuff, all those notes? How do you keep track of all this historical data?
We use a couple different sort of project management tools. The main one is Trello, which you guys are probably familiar with, and I like it. It's very simple, not too many bells and whistles. What we're basically looking at is, whenever feedback kind of comes in, we try to prioritize it, whether it's high priority or low priority, and then within those, we'll high priority sort of do this now, high priority sort of do this later, that sort of thing, and we'll shift it around to different developers who have different Trello boards, things like that. And we also use Google Docs a lot as well, and that's just for basically everything else. The combination of those two, probably not the perfect system, but look, this is a small company with a couple of developers, a couple of assistants, so it definitely works, to manage that.
Yeah, it's just good to hear how other people manage a lot of this stuff. Everyone has their own way of doing it, but there's such a variety of people who listen to the show, either e-commerce or SaaS, or they work in their own marketing department, their own agency, and we're all collecting this feedback or this data in our own way, and so it's interesting to see how people kind of put it together. I know me, when I was actually working in corporate, there wasn't Google Docs at the time, so I printed out all the pictures of all my tests with the results, and I still have some of the books here, and it was just thousands of tests, and we would go back and just look at some of the examples and see the postmortems of what we actually did. So do you guys actually do any A/B testing and things like that?
We don't do officially any A/B testing because, frankly, we don't really have that level of traffic to get a results turnaround in a month. But we do a lot of conversion rate optimization. Maybe it's not really 100% scientific. I was a math major in college, so I can appreciate kind of like statistical significance and things like that. But I can also appreciate needing to grow your business and needing to optimize things. So often what I'll do, for example, because I've done a lot of conversion rate optimization on the home page and the pricing page of the website specifically to increase signups. And I have some great, I think, case studies around that where we increased our conversion rates from the website visitors from 0.4% to 2.3% and the pricing page from 1% to 8%. We never did A/B testing for any of that. And what I essentially did was I would make a change and I would let it run for 2 weeks and I would compare it to the 2 weeks prior to that and see how it went. And now the flaw here is that you might be having different traffic sources, which is why it's not really a proper A/B test. But like I said, sometimes you just don't really have enough traffic to really segment like that. So you just have to go with your gut and just make the assumption that the traffic sources are relatively similar. And often they are, at our level, and just decide, am I seeing an increase or not? And, and also just am I, and it's also sort of informed by just basic CRO principles and saying, well, I added a money back guarantee. These things are usually good. So if you have a basic principle that you've implemented and you're also seeing positive results, that's enough for me to say I'll stick with it. Now just kind of iterate on that. I've done that for about 7 months now, and we've made a lot of progress in optimizing our site.
Yeah, well, you bring up some important points there, and I think it's going to really resonate with the audience because a lot of people don't have the traffic really to test. And you iterated your way there to figure out the right opportunities to optimize. If you don't have the traffic to do the A/B testing, well, first of all, conversion rate optimization is much more than just A/B testing. So, that point you put out there, optimizing for conversion rate is great, but really optimizing for free trials or revenue. So getting very, very specific on the metrics, because your business, it's actually doing very well. You're doing over 6 figures in revenue. You're all bootstrapped. You're seeing the traction. You personally have a team that's all remote. You're traveling the world, so you don't necessarily always need a ton of traffic. You just need kind of the right traffic. And then when you want to start optimizing that traffic, you don't always necessarily need to do an A/B test. Maybe it's a before and after test, or it's just a historical test like you're running.
Definitely. I mean, not being able to do A/B testing is not really an excuse to not try to optimize your site. To be honest, a little shortcut that I'll use when I don't have the traffic I feel like to do a proper A/B test is I'll look at other sites that I think probably do. I look at the best sites that I think are doing well with conversion rate optimization. So I might look at the pricing page of Hotjar. Hotjar is a customer analytics and conversion rate optimization sort of tool, or like Kissmetrics or Bearmetrics or other SaaS companies that are ahead of where we are, and say, well, if these are the principles that they're using, and chances are they do have the traffic to do A/B testing, what do I like about what they're doing? And I'll kind of create this hybrid Frankenstein, pricing page that takes a little bit out of each one and actually seems to work okay. That's just been a strategy that's worked for me.
I love the Frankenstein analogy. We used to use that all the time because we always have all these pieces of different campaigns, and we'd always have to bring them together into one funnel or one landing page to really make it that Frankenstein effect. So let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about you. I believe in 2012, you quit your corporate job and then took on this SaaS company. I think that's a dream for many of the people who are still working in corporate. What would be some of the challenges that when you first thought about leaving? What pushed you to the edge to take that leap?
Yeah, so it was 2012 was when we quit our jobs. We had been working for about 2 years, and I mean my girlfriend and I, we had been living in DC and feeling, rather unfulfilled with the corporate world. And I think we made the decision that we were going to quit and go travel around for in about 2011 or so. At that point, it just became, saving up as much money as we could, budgeting what we could, and giving ourselves a financial safety net. And once we had that, the biggest risk was, how am I going to reintegrate back into society? How am I going to get a job when I come back? Which is probably, a legitimate risk. But our answer to that was, we were thinking we were going to go to school, go to business school, something like that, and then transition back. So we had covered what we thought were the major risks and felt comfortable basically taking that leap forward. And what ended up happening was that we went out traveling, we started some businesses, we became self-sufficient, and then we decided that we never really wanted to go back, and it's been like that for the last about 3 years now. So you never really know what's going to happen, and for us it's been a great decision, but not without a lot of ups and downs. But that's how it is.
Yeah, let's talk maybe a little bit about specifically those downs, because it is a little bit of a roller coaster. First of all, what would you say to someone who's considering going to business school, and what were some of those challenges, those valleys that you reached during your traction your first year?
Sure. So, in regards to business school, personally, I made the decision. I didn't really think it was valuable for me at the time, and I'll leave the door open for the future, but I don't think it's particularly likely. That may not be the case for everybody, but I really do think that when you make a decision as important as going to business school, where you're really going to be paying tens of thousands of dollars and committing 2 years of your life, you should really feel that there's a reason for going to business school. Like, I need this degree to do X. And unfortunately, with a lot of people I have talked to who seem to be going to business school, it's more like, I don't really know what to do with myself, so I'm just going to do business school because I want to make progress and that sort of thing. And I just think that's really kind of a poor excuse. And for us, when we realized that we were more interested in entrepreneurship, I realized, frankly, how valuable capital is, because you need capital to start a business, and therefore going to business school and going into debt and having neither time nor capital would be not really the decision to become an entrepreneur. What you would probably need to do after that is get a high-paying job to justify the education and bills that you have. So that was why it didn't really work for me, and that would be my advice to somebody going to business school. Now, that said, what we, some of the kind of the downs that we've had was, well, first of all, when we went traveling, we started building a business. The first business was not Ninja Outreach. It was actually travel blogs, and we were running this network of travel blogs and selling advertising to travel agencies. And we did very well with that and kind of scaled it to this, 5-figure a month business. But it was somewhat of a tenuous business and relied on Google algorithms. And once that changed, the business really fell apart. So in January of 2014, we went from earning, something like, 20 grand a month to earning 2 grand a month. Just absolutely dissipated, which is a very difficult thing to wrap your head around, because it's nothing that, I guess it's like the equivalent of getting laid off or something. It's just all of a sudden you have an income, the next day you don't. And so, that was obviously very tough to swallow and see kind of the business just completely collapse. But there were a lot of positives that came out of that, because we were able to build up our savings enough that I could then pursue Ninja Outreach, which is what we're doing now.
Very cool. Well, it's been an interesting ride for sure for you, but it seems like you have established a firm business, and right now you're located in Florida, and you're about to leave to Nicaragua. So it seems like you have your finances in order to continue that traction.
Yeah, well, hopefully that is the case. Yeah, we're still going to do a little bit of a live abroad type thing. We're going to be doing some house sitting in Costa Rica. So we're in Florida right now, heading to Nicaragua 2 weeks there, then a couple months in Costa Rica.
All right, cool. Well, let's tell people how they can find out more about you and learn more about Ninja Outreach.
Sure. Obviously, ninjaoutreach.com is the website. You can shoot me an email at dave@ninjaoutreach.com or Twitter @ninjaoutreach, and we're always looking forward to hearing from people, letting us know what they're thinking.
To close out, what would be one thing that you would tell listeners? What would be that next step to improve their SaaS company?
The biggest thing probably for us is always, I think, focusing on a metric and then learning how to optimize that. So for me as a marketer, the big thing that I've always been focusing on is free trial signups, at least when I felt that was the bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about, well, how can I improve the free trial signups, which is why I went on these optimization campaigns on the homepage and the pricing page. Once we started to get enough free trial signups, then the metric shifted from free trial signups to trial to paid conversions. That became more important. So then I started to think about our onboarding process, and we integrated with Intercom, which is like a customer support tool, and some other different things. So it's always about understanding what is the bottleneck metric in your business, and then how can I optimize that to make it not the bottleneck, and then as the priorities will then shift to a new one, and you'll just kind of play the game all over again.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot for your time, David.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure, Alex. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for watching the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. Please remember to subscribe to all of the videos in my YouTube channel. Thank you.